And a warm welcome, everybody, to the primary and lower secondary mathematics, Cambridge Primary and Lower Secondary Mathematics. This is a special session by Collins International, and I have with us our resource person. We are really thankful to Nanda ma'am that she took up this request, and she's here with us, and she'll be dealing with all your queries and the basics about primary and lower secondary Cambridge mathematics. Mrs. Nanda Kukreja, she is she has worked with the TS Chanakya Government of India Maritime Institute as academic officer lecturer in mathematics. She has also worked with career group tuitions and Shivani group tuitions teaching in courses for grade 9 and 10 for IGCSE, IBMYP, A level, and IBDP. She's currently working since June 2018 with Rostamji Cambridge International School, Thane, as secondary school teacher for grades 9 and 10, IGCSE mathematics. She is coordinator for mathematics secondary section, as well as is coordinator for GP, that is Global Perspectives. Currently, she's teaching Global Perspectives for class 9 as well, and she's supervisor for grades 9 and 10. If I have to mention about her qualifications and the academic chronicles, I'm highly impressed, and I'm pretty sure we all will be when we hear that ma'am is BSc in statistics from SIES College of Arts, Science and Commerce. She's also Masters in Science with Mathematics from University of Mumbai. She has completed her B.Ed in Mathematics from University of Mumbai, and she has also completed her DCM from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. Now, the session agenda is quite clear. Ma'am will set the agenda in some time, but let me just go ahead and say that apart from the points that ma'am will begin with, we have covered all the queries that were mentioned by many of you while filling your registration form. So we have covered your queries in the entire session. Ma'am will be addressing each of those concerns and queries that you had mentioned in the feedback, in the registration form. And towards the end, we also have a feedback form. So teachers, please stay tuned. And yes, we will display the feedback form link. We'll display the QR code towards the end as well. Welcome one, welcome all to this special workshop. Nanda ma'am is here. I'll hand over to you, ma'am. A warm welcome, ma'am. Thank you for taking this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for your kind words. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take you through the agenda as ma'am has mentioned, and let me just present my screen for the same.
Ma'am, if you can click on, yeah, done.
Done. Yeah. So today we are going through the differentiated learning activities. We are going to go through time management to complete the syllabus and time allotted to each activity or to each topic. And we're going to go through other activities for effective teaching, classroom techniques for an effective lesson. Without any further ado, let's begin. I just have a simple question to everybody out here that when I speak about differentiation in a classroom, what exactly would I mean by a differentiated classroom? Can someone answer this one for me? Does it mean differencing? Kind of. Does it mean favoritism, or does it mean anything like that? That I like this child better than the other one. Is that what differentiation means?
Yeah, no.
No, it's about learners with capacities.
It's about learners with different learning abilities.
Yes.
Very good, miss. Thank you. So basically, what I'm going to go through with you is I'm going to take you a guide through to the framework that's 0096 and 0862 and the resources offered by Collins in terms of write-ins, student book, photocopiable versions and teachers pack, and an inclusion of a progress practice. Okay, as you all very well know that the Cambridge framework is divided into strands and substrands. The strands are number, geometry and measure, statistics and probability. And the underlying concept between or beneath all this, though not as a separate strand, is the concept of thinking and working mathematically. We will take that up later. If I look at number, we have counting and sequences, integers and powers, money, place value, counting, fractions, and so on. Each of these is divided into 27 substrands. As you can see, is someone trying to speak? Could you all please mute? Thank you. If I look at the strands and substrands, they add up to around 27. Now, the strands are, like I told you, the Cambridge curriculum framework constitutes the long-term plan for schools to follow at each stage, and CIPM for primary and secondary closely reflects the framework and the scheme of work and ensures complete coverage and adequate revision of each stage of learning. It has been grouped into 27 topic areas or units. Each of these 27 units is designed to be taught over a period of 1 week. Each of these 27 units has the underlying concept of thinking and working mathematically, as you can see by the star. The star is comprising of 8 characteristics, which are specializing and generalizing, conjecturing and convincing, characterizing and classifying, critiquing and improving. These characteristics of the thinking and working mathematically generally hones in the mathematical skills of the child and allows them with the ability to critique, analyze, and come forth with a solution of their own, right? So let's go forward. So the coursework, it allows for greater flexibility and different classroom organizations, like some participant over here has very lightly pointed out that differentiation allows for children of different classroom abilities. Now, when I'm talking about children of different classroom abilities, and I have a classroom filled of children with varying levels of understanding, um, there's something called as peer tutoring or help from a peer. So if I have someone who is able, of my own age group, who's able to help me, that allows for pair work. So, it kind of allows the child to understand a particular concept better. So as you can see, the icons which are used over here, there's the work individually icon, there's the work in pairs icon, the work in group icons, and a work as a whole class. There's a T and T. I'm sure you will understand what all these are when you go through the books or the progress check question. If you look at the box which is there here, there is a particular thinking and working mathematically star put in. These are activities which promote the thinking and learning abilities in the child. So if you notice, there are some numbers. Let's say 1 is put in a circle, 2 is put in a triangle, and 3 is put in a rectangle. So if you notice that the ones in the circle are the children who require support, additional support, or who are not able to understand certain types of questions very easily, and they need a bit of help. There are the ones with a triangle, which are easily achievable by most of the children in the class as a whole. And there are those within a rectangle wherein there are children who require more than just the kind of thing. They want some additional practice there. So these are the harder questions which are there for children of varying. So here in classroom, differentiation is addressed very easily in a lesson plan. So if I look at the lesson plan phases, it goes through revise, teach, practice, apply, and review. These are the various modes that we kind of go through. The revise and the teach is done by the whole class. Practice, they can be allows the teacher the flexibility to divide the class into pairs or groups. As a teacher, we know our own class, we know the varying ability levels of each student, so we are able to pair them or group them according to and accordingly we can give them sums. Now there always comes a question that there are so many activities, and how are we supposed to kind of do all the activities within a given period of time. So like I said, classroom differentiation is has been addressed over here. So you as a teacher is going to circle the ones with the activities which the children who are not able to understand easily, or to the children who want some more difficult questions. So you can assign the questions to different children. Each child need not necessarily do every question. Okay. So you can assign the questions according to the ability levels of the child. If you look at apply and review, it is basically a consolidation of all the concepts that have been learned. And when the child learns to apply and relate it to real life circumstances, that is when they start learning, and they start kind of reviewing and critiquing what they have learned. So basically, like I said, the thinking and working mathematically concepts are underlying with each activity that is being promoted here. Yeah. So it provides differentiated activities to practice, keeping learner-friendly objectives in mind and the concepts they are studying. There are question numbers formatted in shapes, like I mentioned to you. So this allows, to not, so that we as teachers do not give questions which are above the ability of any particular child, which ends up in the child not getting demotivated. So if you give a very difficult question to a child who's already struggling with the concept, the child is certainly not going to be able to understand what to do in that case and end up demotivated. And that is why we have these differentiated learning activities, and it's pretty much user friendly, because there is the how to use this book page which provides independent learner control and individual understanding. So it allows the child also to navigate through the various concepts that are there, and it gives them a sense of better understanding of what they need to do, and that is one step further to them being young mathematicians. This is what I spoke to you about as to how to use these books. We have the separate icons, like I mentioned over here, the circle, the triangle, and the rectangle. So all these are pretty user friendly, and the child is very much able to go through this. Again here, the easy questions in the circle, the questions in a triangle are suitable for a majority of the learners, and the ones in the square require enrichment or extension. Now, coming to time management, now this is probably an issue with most of us as teachers, because mathematics as a subject is pretty vast. The more you do, the less is understood, is what I believe. So there is so much to do and there is so little time there. So time management is very, very important. You have been given a recommended teaching and learning sequence wherein each unit is recommended to be completed within a span of 1 week. Okay, but as we say that there is a flexible there's a flexibility for each school and each teacher as to how they're going to go about and which units they are going to go in in a certain progression. Supposing I feel that I have a topic like angles, and I need to go to right angles, and then I need to go to trigonometry. So I have to look at my progression, and I have to look at how I'm going to go about teaching a particular concept for better understanding of my learners, for my better learner understanding. So it is available for the flexibility. It's up to you entirely how you're going to manage your time. This is a propagated teaching and learning sequence. You can use it very, very flexibly. All right. Now, let's look at other activities for effective teaching. Like you say, in a classroom, a subject like mathematics is considered to be very boring unless you make it quite interesting for the child. So for the child to understand and relate to abstract terms or abstract values or abstract symbols, you have to be able to have the child relate those abstract symbols to concrete objects. So for example, if I were to show you certain these are a bunch of can you see this, pencils or pens or whatever it is, right? I'm showing you concrete objects, right? If I'm showing you concrete objects, the next thing that I will do is I will ask how many are these. So I'm relating, how many do you think are these? I'm asking. Let's look at a bunch of these. How many do you think these are? Yes. Can someone answer? Let's give an estimate. How many do you think these are?
Participants, you can
Yes,
type in chat
participants.
box. Yeah, ma'am, they are saying 10, 14, 20, around 12, 9.
Around 12, 9. Yeah. So
15.
if I count over here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I have 9 of these. What have I done? I've shown you something concrete. I have, related it to the pictorial, and I have also connected the abstract, which is addition. All right, I have added all three, and plus when I ask you to estimate or give me an assumption as to how many these are, that's another concept altogether. Some of y'all got pretty close, and some of y'all went a little above. Some of y'all, most of y'all probably did not go below that, right? So we generally effective teaching is consolidated by these three modes of representation, because what happens is when you say something, it is validated or fortified when you show them a certain image, and when that image is related in terms of numbers, that is when mathematics comes into force. So that's how we go with the concrete, pictorial, and the abstract. It's a reinforcement of an idea or a concept. It is achieved by going back and forth between these three representations. So numbers are related to pictures, and the abstract representation is enabled by using mathematical symbols. Okay, if I look at an example of this, then I'll see the concrete representation. That's the inactive stage. The learner is first introduced to a concept using physical objects, like I showed you pen. This hands-on approach is the foundation of conceptual understanding. Then I go on to the pictorial representation, which is the iconic stage. I look up over there. There's three, out here. If I count, there's three out here. Sorry. There's 1, 2, 3 out here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars out here. The learner has sufficiently understood the hands-on experience and can now relate them to images, such as the picture, diagram, or model. So you're relating a number to a picture, and you add them out. You're relating all of them to an abstract concept, which is addition. Okay. So let's apply the same thing to patterns. If I'm talking about, let's apply the concrete, the pictorial, and the abstract representation to patterns. What do I understand by the term patterns? Can someone tell me the layman terms? What according to y'all is a pattern? Anybody?
Participants can raise their
Anybody?
hand.
Yes, please. You can unmute yourself and answer. I do not have a problem with that. And then you can mute yourself. So if you anybody, please respond about what you'll understand about a pattern.
Repeated shapes or numbers?
Or sequence
Shapes,
or number.
Numbers
A
repeated.
linear sequence of numbers or patterns, or
It
maybe
can be-
figures.
It
a
can be
linear
the
sequence.
same.
Now I asked you all in layman terms.
It
Can
can
you
be
see- have you seen patterns?
Something that is repeated.
yes,
Some
ma'am.
we
Yes,
have-
ma'am.
Ma'am, something repeated in the
Designer.
same fashion.
Repeating
Nature as
again
well.
and again.
Yeah.
It is repeating
Yeah,
again.
something
Something
in nature as
repeating
well.
again in the same fashion.
Something
Very good.
arranged in a specific order.
Very good, very good. So you all have given me many answers in the right direction. You know, layman terms, a pattern is something which is repeated. A pattern which is something which is in a particular order. A pattern is something which is repeated again and again and again. Very good. So have we seen patterns like this in nature? Anywhere? Have you seen any kind of a pattern? Let's not talk about numbers.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
not
Yes,
talk
yes,
about
yes.
numbers.
Yes,
One at a time.
tiles,
In
the tiles,
flowers,
the way the
in
tiles are
flowers.
arranged.
used and for making construction.
Flows, in our flows it is repeated.
In your floor.
Even the leaves, even the leaves will be arranged in a particular pattern.
Awesome, awesome, very
The
good.
petals,
The
flowers,
petals.
flowers.
Very good.
Petals of flowers.
Somebody said petals of flowers. Do you know what kind of pattern that is?
Oval shape.
What pattern
Overlapping
does
pattern.
it follow? What pattern
Circular
does it
pattern.
follow?
The golden
Circular or
ratio.
overlapping pattern also, ma'am. Overlapping or
golden
circular.
Fibonacci pattern.
Worlds,
The
you've
golden
seen,
ratio.
very good. Somebody said Fibonacci.
Yes, golden
Somebody
ratio.
said Fibonacci.
Fibonacci.
Yes, very good. That's a Fibonacci sequence or a Fibonacci pattern that can be seen even in a sunflower. When you look at the whorls inside a sunflower, you'll see that they follow a specific pattern, right? So now I'll take you all to certain patterns which I have seen. All right. You see line patterns in dried mud. We have the honeybee pattern. We have the foaming soap pattern. We have the water wave pattern. Now, if you look at the honeybee pattern, it's very, very interesting to know that they form hexagons. It's a shape. How many lines do you think a hexagon has?
6.
A hexagon has 6 lines.
Right.
Very good. It has
Ma'am.
6 lines and the honeybee makes a hexagonal pattern. Look at how symmetric that pattern is, and they make it in such a manner that those hexagons fit into one another and there is no wastage of space. It's awesome, isn't it? So when we start with visuals like this, that is when a child starts thinking about it, right? They connect a concrete, an abstract concept of a pattern with numbers to something which is very excitingly there in nature. So in nature, there is an awesome display of sequences. It can be seen in snails, it can be seen in trees, it can be seen in flowers, it can be seen everywhere. And I do believe that if you go outside and you see, if you look at the patterns or the shadows falling from the sun onto a certain tree, you can estimate the height of the tree basis the angle. It is that wonderful. Here we are looking at another concept of similarity. Okay. Now, like somebody mentioned, that Fibonacci sequence is formed by adding two numbers of a sequence together. Have you spotted this in nature? Yes. Some of you all did tell me about flower patterns which have like 3 petals, 5 petals, yeah, 8 petals. All right. So this person, Fibonacci, was a mathematician who developed the Fibonacci sequence. The sequence is found by adding the previous two numbers of the sequence together. It looks like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. Okay. If we look at the 3 branches, I'll just display this. Can you all see the 3 branches? Are they following any pattern? Are the branches of the tree following any pattern? Nobody?
You can unmute.
Yeah, you can, one of you all can unmute and speak. Wish?
Pascal?
Fibonacci sequence?
It is the Fibonacci sequence. If you notice, 1 plus 1, 2, 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 8, 13, and it keeps on going. And I would ask you all to tell your students to go out there and explore and find out more such sequences in nature or more such patterns in nature. Believe you me, there are so many things that they will come back and they will tell you that which are very, very interesting. Sometimes we learn a lot from our students. Okay. Now, what do we do with, teaching, if we have to effectively teach in class? If you have to effectively teach in class, we follow a certain sequence. So each class is going to begin with a 5-minute whole class warm-up activity, which is called revise, followed by teach, which is the main teaching input phase of the lesson. Then you take in guided practice from the student's book. Teach is followed by individual group learners, and then you apply. This is the part where learners apply what they have learned. And then there is a review. The lesson concludes with bringing together the whole class for the review. Okay, these take place in the student book, workbook, teacher's guide, and in different classroom organizations. Here you have classroom differentiation as well, such as individual work, pair work, and group work. So I will request Kamlesh to kindly, show me the number tool, and I will stop my presentation here.
Sure, ma'am.
We are looking at counting on and back beyond 0. Okay. How many of you think we can count, or counting is only limited to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Do you think counting is only limited, or like we call them counting numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Can we not count backwards?
goes beyond negative numbers also, ma'am.
Exactly. So it's
And we can
infinite. Yes.
and
Yes.
we can count in tens, count in hundreds.
Very good. We can count in tens. We can count in. Let's take it very small. Let's not go very big. Let's not count in hundreds and thousands. Maybe we can count in steps of twos or threes or fours and fives for better understanding. Shall we? The number tool, the number line. The number line. Kamlesh. Yes, this one. So we can set it from between minus 30 to 10. Yeah, my starting point is, let's say, 0. Let's have the frogs at 0, please. I think you'll have to shift the pink one. And then put, yeah, very good. Now let's have them at 0. Let's say 0 is our starting point. Okay. Now, I'm going to display something to you. This is my spinner tool. You can make a spinner in your, you have your resources and you can make it accordingly. So if I'm going to spin this, let's say I go in, what is my number which is it's landed on?
2.
It's,
2.
so I'm going to say count back in steps of 2. Kamlesh can show you one step back of 2. So from 0, it is going to minus
-2.
negative 2. Okay. All right. Now, if I say that, I'm going to ask a very specific question. What will be the second number in the sequence? What is going to be the second number? One of you all can answer, please.
-4.
Negative 4.
Minus 4.
Very
Minus
good.
4.
That means I go in jumps of 2. Very good. What happens to the what happens to the fourth number?
-8.
Minus 6 number.
-8.
So are we following a pattern of numbers here?
-12. Yes.
Very good. Are we following a pattern of numbers here? Right?
Yes.
We are going in an ordered pattern of numbers.
Backward by
right?
2.
We are going backwards, right? Now, let's count back 4 steps in 7. Now, I'm taking you through a thinking and working mathematically activity. Count back 4 steps in 7. All right? 4 steps
-28.
in 7.
-28.
So here in which concept have you used?
Product.
Multiplication. Yes, you assumed and you found it, and but is this how your learners are going to do that? What are they going to do here first? First, they're going to take their first four. Yes, so they're going to do repeated addition here, right?
Yes.
Am I correct? So
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
going to first understand repeated addition and relate it to multiplication.
Yes.
So they are relating the concrete. Yes, they are relating the concrete to the abstract. Yeah. Could you all please mute yourself now? I think my voice is breaking. Thank you. Yeah. So are we clear with this activity? This kind of establishes a relationship between positive and negative numbers because we went back from 0, right? Okay. This happens now. I have revised a certain concept. I started with visuals. I started with patterns, and now I'm showing you patterns in numbers by using my number tool. Correct? Are we clear on this? Then I go to my teach activity. All right. If I, Kamlesh, you can stop sharing. I will display my slides.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank right? If I look at this, this is exactly what I have showed you just now. All right, we have learned to go in groups of. Let's look at this particular slide that we have. Is that entire slide visible to me? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I look at the second or the first number line, okay? If you count back in steps of 4 from 10, if you count back in steps of 4 from 10. So my starting point is, what is my starting point here?
10.
First we identify, we go in basic
10.
steps. First we identify our starting point. Then we identify how much we are going to jump. That's my constant number, right? And then we are going to identify how many times I'm going to jump, right? So we are following a pattern here. So now if I tell you to count back in steps of 4 from 10, so my constant is going to be 4 here, because that's the number of times I'm stepping from 10, 4. So I'm going back again, right? Count back in steps of 4. That means I'm going to the left hand side of 10, right? Correct?
Yes.
What will be the sixth number? What will be my sixth number?
6.
I'm giving you time to think over. I'm going
Minus 24.
minus 24. Give it another thought.
Minus 14.
Minus 14 is the correct answer. This is how it happens.
Negative 14.
Negative 14 is the correct answer.
Negative 14.
Very good. Negative 14 is the correct answer. So when we go in simple steps, when we are talking in terms of students, we have to go basis their level of understanding and not see we had a negative 28 also. It's not that teachers do not make mistakes. We do. But we have to understand and tell them that fine, this is where a mistake was made. This mistake needs to be corrected and not repeated. Understand why the mistake happened, rectify and do not repeat, and we are sorted. Are we good? Okay. So we look at my second number line. I want to count back from 1 in steps of 0.4. How does counting back on the whole number line help me to count back to the decimal number line? I'm talking about the whole number line and I'm talking about the decimal number line. Can someone help? Should I repeat the question? Should I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay. I want to count back from 1 in steps of 0.4. How does counting back on the whole number line help me to count back to the decimal number line? Are they the same? Are they the same? Are they not? I'm giving you time to answer this question. I will wait for 2 minutes.
We generally count the 10 subdivisions that we have in between two whole numbers to count this back, and we can count in that way.
So isn't it the same thing that we are doing?
Yeah, I think it's the same.
It is the same
Isn't
thing.
it the same thing? So why complicate matters? Why complicate matters? So basically we are teaching them, yes.
It basically gives us a pattern of the steps how to do it. So it
Exactly.
can be applied to anything, like
Yes.
decimals or integers or anything.
So can I not say that it is basically the same thing, the same concept that we
Yeah, ma'am,
learned
right.
is being
Yeah, I agree.
applied to the same concept that we applied for whole numbers is going to be applied for fractions, isn't it? Right? It's
Yes.
yes. So that's when we begin to understand that everything is the same. The fundamental concept remains the same. That is where all the problems are sorted. Okay?
So, ma'am,
And this-
just
yes.
would like to share, recently I'm doing decimal numbers with my
Very good.
students in year
Yeah.
4. So
Yeah.
this is what I exactly explain them, that the addition concept of addition remains the same. It's just that now instead of whole numbers, we are dealing with decimal
Yes.
numbers.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So instead of that, you can maybe take them to, you can give them a pictorial representation, of the fours. Let's say 4, you take a circle and divide it into 4 and take one part, let's say 1/4 or, 0.4 or whatever. And you can kind of, show them accordingly, because the pictorial representation always also helps. Yeah. All right. Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am. Agree. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Now I want to move from 0.7 to -1.8. How many steps of 0.5 is that? I want to move from 0.7 to -1.8. How many steps of 0.5 is that? I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you
5
please
steps,
repeat?
ma'am.
Should I repeat? Should
Yes,
I
ma'am.
repeat
Can you
my
repeat it,
question?
ma'am, please?
Yeah, sure.
We need to
5
move
steps.
5 steps, ma'am.
Sure, I want to move. I'm repeating my question. Okay. I want to move from 0.7. So 0.7 is my starting point to -1.8. Right? And how many steps of 0.5 is that?
5 steps.
4
5
steps.
steps, ma'am.
5 steps, negative or positive?
Negative.
So you're moving.
5
That is
steps, ma'am.
also very important.
4 steps.
That is
negative.
very
5 steps towards
important.
the left side.
Negative,
Yes, you
negative.
will have to say towards, when you say towards the left side,
Left.
it is moving negative, in the negative direction. And what happens? A very, very simple question I have. What happens when you move on the negative side in the number line? The number increases or decreases?
Decreases.
Decreases. So can I say a -100 is less than a -10?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
So
Yes,
this
yes,
is how
yes.
we can show them this thing also. There is a certain thing that, a certain topic which is called as inequalities, wherein we have a less than and a greater than signs. Children usually make a mistake when they are, multiplying it by a -1. The sign changes. Why? Because as you progress towards your left, your number is going to decrease in size. As you progress towards the right, your number is going to increase in size.
Increase in
Yes?
size.
So this is depicted in our concept. Are we good to go till here? Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to count in steps of 0.6 from -1.6. What would I get? Supposing my question here is also specific, that is 0.8 going to be a part of my count?
No, ma'am.
I will repeat.
Yes.
I will repeat.
Minus
I
0.8.
want to go in steps of 0.6 from -1.6. Is 0.8 going to be a part of my count?
If it is positive
No.
0.1.
And how do you know that?
No, because if we are moving
No.
towards
0.8.
left hand
And
side,
when I don't say negative, it means positive by default. Okay.
Because if we'll move towards left hand side, the numbers will further decrease. 0.8 is a positive number.
All right.
0.8 will not come.
So
It's greater than our
then,
initial number.
so then here you are visualizing and you are conjecturing, right? You are conjecturing and then convincing. These are the thinking and working mathematically characteristics. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go on to my next slide. Are we clear till here? These are the kind of questions that are there, which are very specific and take into consideration the kind of questions which I just took you through. So you will notice that there are questions marked with a circle, there are questions marked with a triangle, there are questions encircled with a rectangle also. This allows for classroom differentiation, and it is totally to the teacher's discretion as to how they are going to distribute or allocate the sums to their students depending on their learner abilities. Okay. Again, we have our guided practice questions which you can discuss with the child. And this guided practice question fortifies the knowledge of counting on and back in fractions and decimals. Okay. All right. These are my additional practice activities. Again, this is for more practice for those students who require, who are not just happy doing that and they want to learn more, they want to do more. Okay, so these are my additional practice activities which kind of reinforces my knowledge. So we have a lot of activities here. They draw a number line in intervals of 0.01 from 4.5. The same kind of activities which I just took you through. Yeah, you did it mentally. When we are talking of learners, we are talking of students. They will have to draw, find out for themselves, practice till they arrive at solving these questions in a mental manner, right? Now, if I look at this particular, I want you all to read this particular question in the slide, and I want you to answer that question there. Which lift ends up on the highest floor? I'll give you time to read the question. I'll give you 5 minutes if you will. I want you to see how the question is formulated. And you're now applying your knowledge of counting back and forward in constant step. You want me to repeat or you want me to help you all in any which ways? You can maybe use a long book or a paper and a pencil and kind of work it out. It's always better to work it out. Kindly mute yourself, please. Whoever this is, please mute yourself.
C will be the lowest floor and B will end on the highest floor.
Anybody else? Anybody else? If I say I agree to this, then I mean the others will stop thinking. So I'll wait for another 2 minutes for another person to probably answer. What are we doing over here? We are applying our knowledge. Yeah. They are the floors are marked differently in decimals. That's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and so on. There are 4 lifts which are operating between the floors of the building. Which of the lifts will end up on the highest floor? Which of the lifts will end up on the lowest floor? You have been given the parameters that you're supposed to follow. Lift A, starting floor has been given to you. So your starting point is categorized to you for every lift. That is A, B, C, D. Yes.
D is at the highest and
D at the highest.
D is at the highest and minus this one.
Could you explain this to me?
C.
Can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
explain this to me? Thank you.
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me. Yeah.
1.6 is the starting
Very
floor.
good. 1.6.
Then movement 2, in a movement 2, we are going 4 rises of 0.3 floors.
Okay, fine.
So 0.3 into 4. So that is 3/4 the 1.2.
1.2.
So 1.6 minus 1.2, that it comes on a 1. Sorry, ma'am. 1 minute late. That is 0.4, ma'am. Okay. So
Okay.
it's at the highest one. And then in a C, if you see 1 minus 1.8, starting floor is minus 1.8. And movement 1, we are 2 rises from 0.8 floor.
Okay.
So 2 rises, that means we will add it. So 0.2
Negatively.
rises negatively.
So that's going to be the lower one, right?
Lower
Because
one,
the
yes.
higher we go, it's lower the value.
Ma'am, I am getting A as the highest.
You're getting A as the highest. You'll have to explain to me.
Yes. So starting floor is negative 1.5.
What were your values, miss? Your values were, for C, which floor did you say it went to the lowest?
Ma'am, I'm saying.
I'm jotting down your values. This is Miss Swati, right? Miss Swati told me some values. What was the lowest? Swati, miss? I'll come back to the other one there.
Yes, ma'am. I said D as the highest one.
D as the highest and C as the lowest.
Lowest, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So the other teacher there, can you please explain?
I just missed the movement too. I'll solve again and let you know. Sorry, ma'am.
I'll wait. I
Yeah.
don't have a problem. I'll wait for you to explain to me.
Yeah, sure.
This is how we do it in the classroom, don't we? We wait for
Yes.
our learners to understand and get back to us. It's always best to go to the learner's level of understanding, because as teachers, we grow as we learn, right? We learn every day, even from our students, right? Are we ready with our answer? I cannot see the teacher's name, unfortunately. Which teacher was this?
I think B will be the most highest floor.
The highest one. You'll have to explain to me, miss. B is the highest, you say? B is the
I feel
highest.
that consider these decimal numbers as integers only. We don't need to consider while counting. We just don't need to consider this decimal point.
Are these integers? Okay, you're considering them to be integers and they're going in one step. Is that what you're saying? But and my second question is, when you use terms like decimals, equating them to, can we really do that? Can we really term decimals as integers?
It's not like that. Here in this question, we can make use of that term.
You're equating it to, is that what you're saying? You're likening it to, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, instead of the floor
You're
number
likening,
as...
you're taking it as one unit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So
I'm
then you'll have to be very specific. Because if you say I'm taking it as an integer, that again, the terminology, the mathematical terminology is wrong. Okay? Now, at some point of time, the student is going to tell you, Miss, you told me that fractions, decimals are integers. They remember, and you might forget about it, and they will remember.
क्या बोलना पढ़ने के लिए? मैं चाहती हूँ कि तुम पढ़ो. तुम क्यों नहीं चाहते हो पढ़ना?
Ma'am, is that the same? Kindly turn off your
Ma'am, D is at the highest.
Ma'am, can I answer?
A is at the lowest. D is at
the highest
1.2 and A is at minus 1.7. It is the lowest. And D is at 1.2, which is at the highest.
Okay, so we got a consensus with D, right? Two teachers saying D is the highest, right?
Ma'am, I'm saying B is the highest and C is the lowest.
Okay.
For me, B is the lowest.
I will give you time through this entire presentation, and we will, you can solve this question peacefully and get back to me at the end of the session. Shall we? Because when there is a variation in answers, somewhere somebody is going wrong. Correct? The answer can only be one. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
Let's move on, and we can come back at the end of this session. And I'm going to ask you this question at the end of the session. We can take a poll. Shall we do that?
Yes, ma'am. Great idea.
Awesome. We'll do that.
How about we put it on the chat, ma'am?
Let's do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's
Voting will be the best, ma'am.
Yes, let's do that. But is that what you do with mathematics? Mathematics is sure, it's facts. So I would advise you all to re-look at what you all have done and give me the correct answer.
Sure, ma'am.
All right? Can we move on? This is my review question. Like I told you, I go first with a revise. I go then to teach. I practice. I applied with my previous question, right? That was my application. Now this is my review question. This consolidates my learning. The lift rises from floor. You can write this down. The lift rises from floor minus 1.1 in 3 stages of 0.5 floor units. On which floor is the lift now?
0.4.
Very good.
It's
Very
0.4,
good.
ma'am.
It's
0.4.
0.4. Very good.
0.4, ma'am.
That is fast. That was fast. I think we got stuck with the apply question, right? I'm giving you time for the apply question. So do not get confused. You have to be very, very certain that there's going to be one answer there. All right. So now, I think we have gone through all these mathematical proficiencies that right now when we were discussing everything, I think we went through a conceptual understanding, procedural fluency, adaptive reasoning, strategic problem solving, and linguistic, proficiency. So these kind of things, when I say somebody likened an integer to a fraction or a decimal, you have to be very, very categorical and you have to be very, very specific. So when you're talking of the terminology, all these kind of proficiencies are taken into account and it helps the teacher to establish successful mathematics learning. All right. So we have a plan and a teach and an assess. There's a considered progression from one lesson to another. There's a regular revisiting and extension of the previous lesson. So if I'm starting a particular concept of sequences, I have to look at the prior knowledge that my learner has. So if I'm thinking of counting backwards, what is the prior knowledge that you think my learners need to have? If I'm thinking of teaching counting backwards, what is the prior knowledge that my learners need to have?
Subtraction, ma'am.
Is that it? Shouldn't they be first able to count?
Ma'am, first of all, they should know
Forward
the
and backward
counting very well.
counting.
Yes,
They should
forward
first know the
counting.
forward counting very well.
Yes.
Only then they can go backward.
Yes. So when you're answering a question, answer it at its root level. Okay? Answer it as if the person who's asking the question does not know what they're talking about. Okay? All right? Answer it to its basics. That really answers the question when your learner is asking you question. Get down to that level. Okay? So we have promoted learning, raising attainment, achieving. Okay, so we have all these components, students' book, workbook, teacher's guide, everything is illustrated out there. So all these activities of revise, teach, review, apply, everything is kind of propagated over there. So we emphasize and provide guidance on the cyclical nature of teaching. That's plan for teaching. So I should know exactly what my learners need to know. Then I go on to teaching, and then I go on to assessing what my learner has learned to help them better. Okay. So these are my key features. These features aim at developing the skills of the learners which are necessary for them to be able to apply. It's very, very necessary. The application skill, that's why I think we took time in answering that particular question, that when we relate a fundamental a concept to a particular, terminology or an abstract concept and try to relate it to numbers or figures or pictures, that is where we come to a stumbling block. Okay. So this is where we, really require and we kind of propagate application of concepts which have been learned. All right. So these are our key features. We allow for classroom differentiation and the thinking and working mathematically. Like I showed you a question, the thinking and working mathematically is incorporated into every single component and every single unit, so that teachers can confidently use the CITM course, keeping these characteristics at the heart of the learners and the understanding of mathematical concepts. Okay, so now there is a smooth progression, as you see, between stages. These are pages from different stages. So if I'm looking at counting on and back, then making sequences with numbers, making patterns with numbers, there's a clear progression. That is, one concept is clearly linked from one stage to another. Okay, and so that leads to better understanding of the concept for the learner, right? This is my stage 7, stage 8, stage 9. Again, we have a number, algebra, geometry and measure, statistics and probability. You can see that there is a smooth progression between the stages. If I look at stage 7 number, understand the relationship between squares and corresponding square roots, cubes and corresponding cube roots. So it kind of progresses in a very consistent manner. Okay. If I look at sequences in stage 7, I've looked at sequences in stage 6. Now I'm going to give you one sequence each, and you're going to have to write the number you think comes in next, and you'll have to explain why. Look at the first sequence, 21, 29, 37, 45. If you must, you think is coming. Very good. What are we doing here? Which is a constant number that we have here?
Add 1.
Sorry?
Add 8.
Very good.
You're
Adding 8.
Adding
So
8.
the operation is addition and
Eight.
your constant number is 8.
Yes.
So here you're adding 8. If I look at 3, now this is different. 301, 201,
Subtract
101.
100.
Minus 100.
Subtract 100.
So we will count it back in hundreds.
What's my next number?
91.
Subtract
How is
9.
that? How is that 91? Who said
Minus
91?
1. Minus 100.
Minus 1.
Subtract 9.
Minus
1 and then
1 is the answer. We are
1
subtracting
will be
100.
1 is the
It
answer.
has to be 1. It has to be 1, not minus 1.
It
So
should be
101 minus 100 should give me 1. Yes, plus 1.
positive 1.
I'm subtracting. In this case, I'm moving leftward by a count of 100. Correct? So that means I'm subtracting 100 from each number, and the number line is the numbers are progressing in that manner, right? I look at my next one here. 100.
Here ma'am, the sequence is decreasing here.
9 and it will
become
Decreasing by 9. 64.
64.
Subtract
Yes, subtracting.
subtract
9. The term
Subtracting
is
9.
is subtracting 9.
64.
Next number is? My next
64.
number is
64.
73 minus 9.
64.
Give me 64. Very good. Now let's look at minus 29, minus 23,
Add 6.
minus 17, minus
Negative 5.
Ma'am,
Negative
it
5.
here the term will be negative 5.
Negative
We
5.
add 6.
Adding 6. Negative 5, ma'am.
We add 6.
Negative 5 is the correct answer. If what am I doing? What is my constant?
6.
Constant is 6.
Ma'am, constant is adding 6.
And my
Constant
next
6.
number is
Add
negative
6.
5. Yes. And what are you doing?
Negative
You're
5.
adding 6.
6.
Right? You're adding 6. Because if I look on the negative number line, my number is increasing. Is it? Is it increasing or decreasing? It's increasing, right? Minus
Increasing.
It is
23,
increasing.
minus 20,
It's increasing. Increasing.
The
minus
sequence is
23,
increasing. Yeah.
minus 17, minus 9, minus 11. I'll go on to, I'll go further. If I'm adding 6, minus 5. Now minus 5 plus 6 should give me a
Plus 1.
Plus 11.
I should
One,
get a
positive
plus
minus
1.
1.
I'm counting now.
Positive
I'm going
1.
on the positive number line now.
Yes.
So we are good to go. We're good to go. Okay. So we've clearly understood there is a clear transition from primary to lower secondary. So we aim to develop the higher levels of primary courses in stage 7. The main difference students will notice on starting the lower secondary courses is that, there are less of pictures here. Obviously, there are going to be more of, skill-based knowledge. There'll be fewer illustrations. They are still colorful because color is what attracts the eye, right? When you see is when you try to understand what is there that you see. So unless you want to see, you will not even, it's like, opening a very boring book, which is black and white and only written in words and numbers. So the children are not going to look at it. They have to have some pictures. They have to have some color there for them, for their eye. It's a visual, it's a visual attraction. Once you look at it visually, then only will you try to understand the concept behind it. So we have an integrated skills approach, including pair and group work for independent and collaborative work. Then you have learning through clear explanations and worked examples. We have guided practice that is for you to do in the classroom. Guided practice is when you guide the student through a certain concept, and that fortifies independent learning for later. Okay, we're making them independent learners. A variety of concrete, pictorial, and abstract approaches, like I told you, to understanding math. Practice opportunities that progress in challenge to allow all students to access a consistent approach to practicing the thinking and working mathematically characteristics and opportunities to encourage reflection. What do I mean by reflection? What do I mean by the term reflection? Is it me standing in front of a mirror and watching myself? Is that what I mean by reflection?
Ma'am, for students, it is to reflect back upon their learning, what they have learned.
Exactly. So to think
and
back.
how much
Exactly.
concept
kind of
clarification or how much
self-assessment.
they understood.
Very good. Very good. So it is
Also,
for them
how
to-
they applies, ma'am. How
and
they apply
also
the
how
learnt,
they apply, how much they have learned, how
relate.
much they
Self-assessment.
evaluate themselves. Yes, self-assessment is
Yes.
very, very
Yes.
important. Once they understand that I am at a certain level of understanding, is only then when they try to achieve higher. Okay, so it's very important for learner independent learning, right? Please mute yourself, whoever this is. Both series include an integrated skills approach, including pair and group work, learning through clear explanations and work examples. These are called as guided practice, a variety of concrete, pictorial, and abstract approaches. Please mute yourself, ma'am. Please mute yourself, ma'am. Preeti miss, if you could please tell whoever it is, I'm unable to see this, and if you could mute them from your end.
This is Miss Hema Santosh who's unmuted. Thanks. Yeah.
Practice opportunities that progress in challenge to allow students consistent approach to practicing the thinking and working mathematically characteristics and opportunities to encourage reflection. So this is an example of, you know, how you're going to be keeping a progress sheets, whether the child is exceeding the expectations in a particular substrand or topic, a strand, a substrand. A would be exceeding expectations, B would be meeting expectations, and C would be below expectations. So this is your kind of a record sheet wherein you know how each student of yours is progressing in the class, and this also further helps the next stage teacher to understand how the student is and to what needs to be brushed up on, what concepts need to be fortified, consolidated, and so on. So this also allows for smooth progression. Okay. So we have the medium term formative assessment. As you move on, the content, more complex ideas need to be looked at. One of the ways we have got more practice included is the introduction of the progress books, which is an additional component, and there is one for each stage, each of them being 64 pages. These offer a double page per unit of additional practice and helps in consolidating all of the knowledge that each learner is expected to have at the end of each unit. This gives the teacher an overview of their students' attainments in terms of putting their learning to practice, like I just showed you. This further allows the learner to go one step further than what they have learned. So they are applying their knowledge here. They're consolidating their knowledge as well. Okay. So this is the structure of the progress book. If you notice, there are those pictures here, those smileys here, which say a smiling face says I can do this. There's a straight face over there which says I'm getting there, and here there's a grumpy face here which says I need some help. So the child is also going to mark, and that is how the teacher understands. The teacher is also going to assess in the same manner, because this is how the child is responding to the assessments or to the activities in class, to the guided practice, or to the extra activities, the teacher is going to kind of mark and saying, yes, this child is can do this particular concept very nicely. He or she is exceeding that particular level, or they're getting there, they're understanding the concept, or they need some help here. So that also gives the teacher a fair idea of what they need to work on. Okay. A photocopiable variation of the thinking and working mathematically star is also there. This is basically there so you understand the characteristics of TWM as such. Okay, like I said, transition from primary to secondary is very smooth. We have an integrated skills approach. Then learning through clear explanations and worked examples, and a variety of concrete, pictorial and abstract approaches. There are many practice opportunities that progress in challenge. Like I said initially, it says that it is for the teacher to decide depending on the learner's abilities as to what kind of questions that they are given, so that you do not give a child with who is struggling to learn an over ability question. That will demotivate the child. Okay. So the progress books are designed to assist in monitoring learners' progress, identifying and understanding the learner's needs. Like I told you, you can mark them with those smileys, those grumpy faces, those straight faces, and planning next steps to teaching and learning to help learners to make progress, raise the level of attainment and achievement. So basically, can I ask you all a question? Do you all know what a palindrome is? There are many questions here. Do you all know what a palindrome is? Palindrome,
The number from both the ends should be same. 1 to 1.
Good. Can you give me an
1
example of a palindrome?
Ma'am, palindrome is
121, 1331.
131.
Very good. Very good. So these are the kind of questions that you need to throw to the children. Let them explore, understand, and come out with different kinds of, there's something called as strobogrammatic numbers as well. Okay, which involve rotation. All right. So now these are my framework for 0096. Now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to allow Kamlesh to show you some games. And in the meantime, you can also work on that question which we put forward and give me proper answers. One answer. I'm going to stop sharing. Can I?
Okay, ma'am.
We can show some slides. We can show some games. See, these are the things that are available to us. We have basic number games, addition and subtraction, multiplication and division, geometry and measure. Kind of makes your job easier as a teacher, because when you play games with a child and you're teaching a mathematical concept along with it, they learn faster. We can go to basic number games of, let's say, addition and subtraction. Okay. Let's take any one of these. Let's look at the multiplication and division, shall we? All right, let's start with the concept of addition. 3 and let's choose a level of difficulty. Teachers, which level of difficulty should we choose? Teachers, which level of difficulty should we choose? Any teacher.
Level 1, ma'am.
Level 1, we start with level 1 or level 2 is safe?
Level 2, ma'am.
Let's look at level 2.
Level 2, ma'am.
Okay, let's look at level 2.
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask you a
Count the number of,
question.
yes, please.
Ma'am, this Collins games, it is where we can see this Collins link games
I
where
think they're
where
done.
can
I
be
think
found?
Kamlesh can answer or Manish can answer that one. Oh.
No, because it seems very interesting, no?
It is
And
very interesting. It is very interesting.
Ma'am,
because
we'll
first in
share
Let's
math,
first look at these games and then maybe these
yes.
questions can be addressed. Right?
We'll share the information. Swati ma'am,
yes,
we'll
yes,
share with you. Yeah.
yes. Let's
this
look
is
at
just
the
like first in maths activity, all children enjoyed it.
Yes, so these are small activities which, you know, kind of, yeah, very good. So let's go on to the next one. 6, tap on 6. Let's see what happens when we tap on 6. Well done. Tell me a wrong answer now. Let's see what happens when we get a wrong answer. Count the number of ants on the trees. Let's get a wrong answer. Tap on 4.
4, ma'am.
Try again. How many ants? Let's say 2. Again. Next. All right. All right. We're getting answers for our questions as well. C lowest, the highest. Okay. Kamlesh, can we go on to another question? I think we can go on to the one which we had seen previously.
Coconut calculations.
Yes, let's go to that one. Let's go to level 1 there. Practice mode. All right. 12 plus 3 teachers.
15.
15.
Tap
15.
on 15, Kamlesh. Let's see what happens when you tap on 15. That's right. Okay, try another question. Let's get a wrong answer here. 20 minus 14.
6.
6.
Let's take a wrong answer. Let's put 4 and see what happens. Try again. Let's put 8 now. Look at this. Can you see what happens? When the child repeatedly goes wrong, the number line is put forward. All right? This is going to help, and then the child manually will go back and forth and count. All right? This is a counting back and forth. Where did you land? 20 minus 14. Go backward. 14 places, right? So where do you land? On 6. Now type 6. Go. That's right. Did you understand how these go? These kind of take you through progressive things, you know. Kamlesh, we can see some slides also now, probably.
Sure, ma'am.
I think the maximum answer I got was a B and a C. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. B will reach at 1, positive 1, and C will reach at negative 1.7.
We leave it at that.
Yes, ma'am. B will reach at 7 and C will reach at positive 1.7. B will reach at 0.7 positive.
B will be minus, B will be positive 0.
B will be the
C will be
highest
minus
and C will be the lowest. Very sure about it.
Oh, very good. Now that you're very sure about it, I have nothing to say.
Kamlesh, can you increase the size?
This can't be increased.
So teachers, yeah. So teachers, what all is available here? I'm Manish here. According to whatever books that are being purchased by the schools, there are extra downloadable materials that Collins provides, and you will get these files, downloadable material from each and every team member, which are based out of every state. Okay. So additional practice activities, lesson plans, planning tool and grade, record keeping, resource sheets, revise activities, slides, workbook answers, games. These are the things which you'll be getting it free of cost. So what we can do is that we can share with you one particular email address. Whosoever is interested can write to this particular email address and our team will get in touch with you. Thank you so much, Kamlesh. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Should we type the email address in the chat box?
Sure. Doing it right away.
Sure, ma'am.
I want it.
Yes.
I think, Manish, we have time for the question and answers. Can we address those?
Yes, ma'am. Shreya, can you take over?
Sure. So the teachers can put their queries forward.
They have given those questions. I'm going to answer the ones which were there in the, it was said initially itself. No? So let me get there first and then maybe we can look at other questions as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am, sorry to disturb. Are we supposed to share our mail ID? Or he will share his mail ID and we will contact personally through the mail ID?
We will share a mail ID. We will share a mail ID with all of you. And there you can write us your requirements.
Okay, see, because all of them are posting their mail IDs. That's why I'm
Certain
asking.
teachers are posting their mail ID. Teachers, I'll request you to wait. We are going to share an email ID and you can write to us there. And these resources can be, then shared over. You can just write, Manish has given the email ID there. I'll be repeating it towards the end. I'll be showing it to you on the screen as well. Right. Let us take the queries.
Yeah. So there was one particular query which said which calculator type is allowed in stage 9. So these kind of calculators are allowed. This is an FX82MS. Okay, this is a non-graphic calculator. Right, this is particularly allowed because there is no graphic display. And you cannot have data books, you cannot have dictionaries or as language translators, you cannot have retrieval or manipulation of text or formula, you cannot have a QWERTY keyboard, you cannot have built-in symbolic algebraic manipulation, symbolic differentiation or integration. There should not be a capability of remote communication with other machines. So basically, this is a requirement there that you should not be able to use the calculator in a wrong manner, so that it gives you an advantage over other students. Okay. My other question was, how to deal with probability concepts or data handling. I've just showed you, questions there. I've taken you through certain questions. Sorry? Did anyone ask anything?
So, ma'am, please
Ma'am,
continue.
is it different from a normal scientific calculator?
It does not have integration or graphic display, wherein this calculator will not give you a graph. It will not give you an integration or anything like that. This is a basic calculator which just has those functions which are required at that stage for the children to be able. Okay. And I think each school decides on a particular calculator. The specifications of Cambridge, I've already told you, you cannot have any of the graphic displays or translators or anything of that. All right. Are we sorted here?
Ma'am,
Right, ma'am. Thank you.
can you please repeat the model number?
This is SX82MS.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Then we have, I've taken you through some of the activities as well. I have also taken you, there was a question, how can you enhance active learning in the classroom? I've taken you through that as well. Okay. What the new curriculum 24-25, I think certain topics, it's a big, it's a huge thing, so it cannot be covered here. All I can say is certain topics have been removed and certain topics have been added, like swords has been added and box and whisker has been removed for certain reasons of their own. Okay, because they have been reviewing everything and they have come to the conclusion that in data handling we do not really require the representation of a box and whisker plot. Okay, because it does not show a variation of data, right? Assessment for stages 1 and 2, they are too small. Cambridge believes that the learners at stages 1 and 2 are too young for a written examination. There are no progression tests at this stages. The teacher should get to know, they should understand, like you say, you can see that in your progress books as well, you have your, learners understanding. So the teacher knows how much the child has understood, and that is the assessment that is taken into consideration. Now, if I'm looking at how to handle children with special needs, right, in an inclusive education pattern. Now, in an inclusive education pattern, a child with special needs has access to all the data that is provided to a normal or a traditional child who is joining in the educational pattern. Now, the advantage to the child with special needs is that they can go in for peer tutoring. They do not feel left out or different, and a child can actually a child who is a traditional child coming to a school and sitting with a child with special needs, when that child is tutoring the other child, it fortifies the learning of that particular child, because when you teach, you learn again. So that question can be addressed there. Yes, when a child with a special needs sits in a class and you have a large class capacity, that is a challenge for the teacher as well, because then the teacher needs to give a little extra time to that child with special needs within the classroom. Okay. Then does Collins map CAI progression? I have showed you how it maps. Okay. You can show probability or examples in real life, like I showed you sequences. I've shown you many such examples. So I think major of the questions that were there have been addressed during the presentation itself, and the few which were not addressed in the presentation, I think I have taken forward in the in this Q&A session now.
Right. Teachers,
I think we are good to go. Right?
Teachers, if we have any more questions as well, you can ask ma'am. Ma'am is here. If you have any further questions, you can introduce yourself and yeah, please place your query.
Hello, ma'am. Myself Swati Moy. Is there any math lab activities are included in that we can conduct and we can elaborate more?
See, maths lab activities would be the same as the games and everything that you're incorporating, the additional practice activities, the games, the slides that you show. Laboratory is what? That you're practically applying your knowledge, right? So that is a maths lab activity. How you going to categorize it basis the resources that are there is entirely up to you. The coursework is pretty flexible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, ma'am, this is Swati Tiwari.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there was some network issue. I again rejoined it, and in the chats now I'm not able to find the mail ID.
We will share with you, ma'am. Don't worry. We will share with you in yeah, towards the end. We'll just share with you.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, this is Rory this side. I would like to know about the first checkpoint for which the students appear.
That would be the primary checkpoint at the end of the stage. Basically, checkpoints are not they're not given any formal certificates as such. It is just making the learner ready, for the international standards for an international classroom as such. So the learner is able to, like I said, IG or even the curriculum framework of 0096. It makes you ready for the world as such, or able to apply your knowledge, and when you go in for higher studies like IG or something like that, you're able to tackle it very effectively.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So, ma'am, my question is, for the checkpoint, those students who are on the weaker side, like they need extra support from the teachers. So I need some tips how we can support them to appear well in the checkpoint.
If you go back to when I had taken the presentation, Miss Nisha,
Yes, ma'am.
I have specifically said that we have a differentiated classroom approach. So there are a lot many activities in your book which will allow you to give that child particular activities and allow the child the flexibility to progress from one level to another. Once the child gets the confidence, you're good to go. There it is.
Okay.
And your progress books, you're any which ways you're monitoring the progress of it, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So my question is also in line to the same that Nishaji asked. I wanted to know, like, when you are designing questions, internal questions, so is it like while we differentiated, there are 3 differentiations. So what percentage would you recommend for each of the differentiation?
Sir, those questions which are marked in a circle,
Yeah.
those are
So
for
circle, triangle.
learners. Yes, circle, triangle, rectangle.
Yeah, almost
so
some.
maybe you can. Yes. So maybe the child can start with the circle questions. All right, a child who's having a difficulty with a particular concept can start with the circle question with a guided practice. Your guidance is going to be required here. Maybe the child can progress from the circle question to the triangle question. If you initially itself give a triangle or a rectangle question to a child who is not able to understand, that means you're asking the child to overachieve, which is not fair. It is
Yeah, I
easier.
meant, like, is there any kind of like,
So that is
the marking
for you
scheme?
to decide. That's for you to decide.
Okay.
It's your flexibility, your classroom, entirely your call. How you're going to assign, because you know your students. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, is there any kind of specific website which we can, go to find some good worksheets or checkpoint level questions, or like the sample papers, something of that kind that could
There
even
are
cater
a
the
vast
differentiated learning
number
content.
of websites available on the net. You could just go there and check.
If you could just tell me one or two in specific.
You can go to the Cambridge websites itself. There are a vast number.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
yes.
This is Hema. Actually, I would like to know that we have a learner's book, a workbook, and a notebook we are handling. But in the primary classes, it's very, I think it seems to be very difficult to handle all these things together. But we can't avoid that also. Ma'am, can you tell me some tips to handle this easily?
You mean to say the number of activities are more and you're not able to finish within a time span? Is that what you're saying?
The workbook, it's a challenging questions are there. I have to
Yes, so like I said, no, miss, that you can depict, you can take out questions. Each child doesn't have to solve all the questions.
Okay.
Right? So you can decide which child needs to do this question, which child needs to do this question. A child who is very good at learning will do all your questions.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, so it's up to you as a totally.
Okay, ma'am. It's a compulsory for following the workbook in the class. So we can categorize that.
See, when the student's book, the child is doing some independent learning.
Okay.
So the child is consolidating their knowledge with the workbook. So they will require the teacher's guidance there, no?
Yeah, definitely.
So there you will have to allot kind of some, your class better.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, just one more question is there. Suppose when making the internal papers for the progression test, which we make for primary classes, like stage 3, 4, 5, 6, then how are we supposed to put the questions in the sequence that there are the questions for the brighter students as well in the question paper?
Put it in
Because
the
obviously they can be
obviously
there can be a one question paper only, which all the children have to cater. We cannot make separate papers each time. But the level of a student is different in a class.
Correct.
How do we cope up with this?
So what you can do in this case is that you would have certain topics. Let's say I have topics from 1 to 10. All right, in a particular examination. All right. Now I have questions from varying levels of difficulty in that paper itself. Got the point? So I have very easy questions and difficult questions as well as those intermediate questions. So this allows for even the child to, the child with a little lesser ability to answer. So the child who has a lesser ability will be able to answer those circle kind of questions, and the triangle kind of questions it will at least try to attempt. So they get a reasonable amount of, marks, and they are also happy with what.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Any other?
Good evening, ma'am. Raji here.
Sure.
Ma'am, just one question. Are we following the same stage for the grade? For example, for grade 2, are we following stage 2 or is it stage 3 with colons?
Stage 3.
Okay.
That depends on, I believe schools have their own, criteria to keep. So you will have to do according to what the school has decided for you. Otherwise, this is how it is done.
Okay, in general, it is one stage,
Yes,
one number
in
ahead.
general, that is okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Nanita here. Ma'am, I want to ask, like, in the class, if there is 19 students and like suppose there are questions for one lesson, right? So all these students doesn't need to do all the questions of the workbook or like
I told you, miss, that we have differentiated class, differentiated questions. So that allows for each child to be able to learn. No? So you have different learning ability levels in your class. So you can't give all the questions to all the children, no? And you can't expect them to answer all.
Ma'am, it's not
so
necessary.
You will have to decide.
solve all questions, is it?
You will have to decide this. You will have to decide in your class as the teacher. You know best the abilities of your children. So you will assign according to their learning.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Anybody else?
Happy evening, ma'am. Yeah, I have a question that we have 27 chapters, right? So within a year, it is very difficult to complete. Can you give me any easy method to tackle all the things within a year?
You will have to schedule your, like I said, time management is very important.
That's fine,
Okay,
ma'am.
so
Even
you
the
will
quiz
have to look at the
27,
number.
one
You will
minute.
have to look at the number. What I can suggest to you is what I personally would do. I would look at the number of sessions that are available to me.
Okay.
Okay. The number of topics that I need to cover. As
Yeah.
a math teacher, I divide.
Yeah.
I divide.
One more
And
thing,
then
ma'am.
try to stick to that.
Yeah, if it is a
Try to
26
stick to that.
chapter, it is fine. In Colin's book, we have so many exercises also, right?
I told you this again, I'm repeating. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
so many exercises, you have so many questions. You will have to mark and give those questions according to your differentiated learning abilities. Again, I'm saying this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers. This has been wonderful. Are there any more questions here? Do we have any more questions? Right. So in that case, what you'll find is I have placed a feedback form link in the chat box. Please look at that link in the chat box. If you're able to, if you're not able to click on the feedback form link, you can also look at the feedback form short link that has been displayed on the screen right now, or you can even scan the QR code. So we have a QR code. If you have your mobile phone and you're logged in from your laptop, then please scan the QR code there. You will be immediately directed to the feedback form. And if you are using your mobile phone, kindly click on the feedback form link that I have just placed in the chat box. Or you can even type https://ggli.io/6E That is the short link of the feedback form, which is displayed on the screen right now. For all the teachers who have been requesting the different resources, you can write to us on this email ID. I'm displaying the email ID also on the screen right now. This is collinsinternational_India@harpercollins.co.in. So kindly write to us your name, your school name, city, and your requirement. Like many teachers have written in the chat box, they need videos or games or worksheets or resource sheets or slideshows. You can write to us with your name, name of the school, city, and your requirement on collinsinternational_India@harpercollins.co.in. Please fill your feedback form, and you can even write to us on the same email ID in case you want to share something, you want to you want to place any request for more such sessions by Nanda ma'am. She has been very kind to us today, and she has taken us point by point throughout the session. Wonderfully done, involving all of you. If you need more sessions like these, you can definitely write to us on the same email ID. That is collinsinternational_India@harpercollins.co.in. Right. We are able to fill the feedback form. If we can show a thumbs up or click on thumbs up, that would be great. Let me see if...
Ma'am, please share again in chat box. We are waiting actually.
Sure. I'll share the link once again in the chat box. Yeah. Right. I've shared it again. I can see some thumbs up. I can see some teachers showing thumbs up. Great. Please fill the feedback form, everyone. And do write to us on the email ID for your requirements. It would be easy to go through your requirements and share it with them if you write it on email. We received a lot of email IDs in the chat box as well, but I'll request all the teachers to kindly send an email with your school name, city, your name, and your specific requirement. Nanda ma'am, there were 1 or 2 questions in the chat box. I thought before ending, we could just take these questions.
Sure.
Akshada Miss has mentioned that abacus and Vedic maths have some specific techniques, but they are rarely used in our learner's book. What could be the reason? Are we focusing more on long form method or writing rather than mental maths?
Not really. If we are categorizing abacus and we are talking about Vedic mathematics, the conceptual understanding is basically the same. All right, we are just looking at how best we can put in forward certain methods so that the child is able to understand at ground level and able to apply it, according to the real world. Because we do not promote rote learning or whatever it is. It's just a hands-on approach that is provided. Anything else?
Ma'am, I have just last one question. The way you were explaining about counting on and counting back using the number line, and
Yeah.
I think that's the base method to teach, the students counting on and counting back. But as we from whole numbers, we move on to decimal numbers from, let's say, year 4 and year 5, when they are doing, is it okay to do it with the operators also? When using the number line, we've shown them like -5 plus, when we say plus 4 and we move count on a number line, can we
Yes.
also teach them the method of using operators? Is it approved by Cambridge?
Sure. See, if you're looking at methods and you're going by, so if you're going back and you're going with operators, I think that should be allowed.
That should be allowed.
That should be allowed.
Because secondary, when we see secondary
Yes.
students, they are more or less, I mean often they are using the operators only for doing this kind of addition and subtraction with the integers.
It's
But
easier for them. It's easier for them because they have a lot many things to go to.
Yeah, so I feel that we've introduced our learners to do it first through the number line, because that becomes very
Yeah,
easy
they should
for them
understand how
to
it goes.
understand the concept, and once they are
Yes.
confident about
Then
doing
you're
it through number
applying
line.
your terminology.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah.
There is one last question that we'll take that says the Collins Sage 7 to 9 questions do not mimic the Cambridge question paper pattern. Is it?
I don't
How
think
can we patch that?
so. No. I don't think it does not mimic the question paper pattern. It does, because if we are following the Cambridge guidelines and they're following Cambridge requirements, if I were to tell you that the board exam questions are going to be totally different. Each year's board exam questions are different. So we are making the learner ready to attempt any kind of question. They're not going to get a set kind of question. So I hope I have answered that one. We are making them independent learners. We are teaching them to question and answer independently. So I think nothing can be mimicked as such.
Mm-hmm. And as it is, even while getting the books endorsed, we also get this from the Cambridge authorities that we are not preparing the children for examinations as such. We are actually trying to build
We're actually
the
making them user friendly to the concept of mathematics. They're making them mathematicians.
Ma'am,
They
one
should
last
be able to
question.
apply
I want
their
to
knowledge.
ask.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, what is how should we say test paper 1 and 2? What is the difference between those two papers? How we should say
There
that?
is a calculator paper, there is a non-calculator paper, if you're looking at advanced stages, which has been introduced now to the learners who are going in for the probably the 2025. So it allows them to calculate mentally because it has been noticed that children, once they get a calculator in their hand, they tend to depend on calculations like 1 plus 2. Use your calculator and start go ahead. They do not think if 1 plus 2 is going to be 3 or 1 multiplied by 2. They seem to have forgotten that. So that is the reason why there was the incorporation of how much of mathematical skills you all have gotten in your learning in your paper 1 or paper 2 and accordingly.
Ma'am, one more question, please. In stage 7, actually, when we are dealing with the LCM and HCF, our usual method is using there. Can we accept this ladder method like or prime factorization method? Any
Of course
method?
you can. Of course you can. Of course you
Okay.
can. You look at the method which is easier, because later on when you go on to stage 7, stage 8, stage 9, the concept of LCM is going to be used. They're
Yes,
going to say that a car starts at a given point and it arrives at one point. So you know that the concept of LCM is going to be used.
Yeah. Okay. And then one more question. In paper 1 and 2 in the primary classes, they are actually not using the calculator. So actually, what is the difference in stage 3 between this paper 1 and 2, ma'am?
It's basically a variety of questions that are given to them.
Okay.
So it's nothing to do with calculator or without calculator for these stages. That was particularly mentioned for the later on batches which are going to come in. The one who is giving in 2025 now. Somebody had asked about the new syllabus, so that is why they categorized it into two of calculator and a non-calculator. Okay, so herein, even now, this batch which is giving their boards will have only a calculator paper, and the questions are with varying levels of difficulty from different topics. Okay.
Okay. When we are setting the papers, what will be the difference between paper 1 and paper 2? Application level more on paper 2 like that?
That's up to you. You will have to, kind of spread it out.
Okay,
So
okay,
that
okay.
each thing is taken care of. Like I said, the difficulty level also has to be taken into.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
One more question, ma'am.
Sure.
Ma'am, I was asking, I'm teaching in grade 6, but there is no LCM and HCF is mentioned in that Colin's book. Method is not mentioned.
I'm sure if you check, if the LCM concept is there, I mean, the concept is going to be applied then when you go into 6. All right? More of a practical based approach. Like I said, that even if the question is not given, they will tell you that a car or a bell rings at, a tower bell rings at one point of time, and again, in a span of, let's say, 10 minutes, another bell rings. So when do these two bells ring together? That is
But
when
method is not mentioned. Any method is not mentioned.
you would use the ladder method for prime factorization. I'm sure if you check through the books, the method, every method is specified. Kindly go through it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And a special thanks to Nanda ma'am for being here and resolving all our queries and doubts. We also have with us Mr. Manish and Mr. Kamlesh. Is Manish here? So that we can
Yes.
give a formal vote of
Yes,
thanks.
we are there. In fact, the whole team is available.
Ji.
The complete team, which is there in South as well as in West and North, everyone is available.
Great, great. So would you propose a formal vote of thanks?
Yep. So first and foremost, many thanks to Nanda ma'am for giving us this particular session in a very short period of time. Just to share it with you, teachers, today is Nanda ma'am's daughter's birthday, and in spite of that, she's ready to come out and do this session. So wishing her a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
On
Thank you.
on our behalf.
Thank
and
you so much. Thank you. I will tell her.
and most importantly, the session really went off well, ma'am. Thank you for clearing all the doubts. I would request each and every teacher, whoever is present now, is to write to us for any particular feedback or any particular session that you want to have later as well. And we'll be more than happy to conduct it. So we have Om Sivaramakrishnan, who is based out of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Sai Fanindra, who is based out of Hyderabad. Mr. Abel, who is based out of Bangalore. There is Chandan Singh, who is based out of Mumbai, and there is Kamlesh Chauhan, who is also based out of Mumbai. And I guess we have Tanushri as well. Tanushri from Delhi. So thank you once again, ma'am. Look forward to many such sessions. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, teachers. You all were wonderful students.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Have a wonderful evening ahead and have a wonderful
Thank you so much, ma'am.
weekend. And ma'am, happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you. I will
for
tell
doing
her.
it on this special day. Your dedication is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend ahead, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.
You too.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Thank you, Preeti. Last but not least, very, very important, Preeti.
Yeah.
You've been a
Thank you
kind
for
support.
being such a good backup team and helping me to put it at this last minute. Thank you so much.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are closing the session. Thank you.
Did we leave?
Hanji. Yes, ma'am.
We can leave, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your help and support.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Shreya, you can close end the session for everyone.
No, I couldn't have done it without.